And for more on Venezuela's uprising, I spoke to Carl Larry. He's a commodities development manager with Refinitiv, formerly the financial and risk business of Thomson Reuters. And I start off by asking him about the economic crisis that's, of course, been escalating the unrest.
The hard part here is the unknown of what's going to happen, but on top of that, the instability of knowing what is going to happen. So until we get some clarification on who's going to be running what, when, and how, it's really just still a toss-up, and the economy is just in disarray.
Yeah, I mean, give us some figures. We've had hyperinflation, we've got mass exodus of refugees and internally displaced as well.
Yeah, I think we're looking at decades high inflation here in the millions percentage-wise. So that's really disturbing. And then when you look at the defections already, we're looking at 3 million people. But it adds on to what we talked about earlier about people defecting into different embassies right now. The problem with all these defections is if and when will we see those people come back? You're looking at a lot of people gone, but a lot of talent, a lot of skilled workers. So a long road ahead, regardless of what happens now.
And people who watch this show know that Venezuela has some of the biggest oil reserves in the world, if not the biggest untapped, and yet there is food scarcity in the country. How is oil and what's underneath Venezuela and its territory affecting the sort of geopolitical moves in Venezuela?
Well, the oil becomes a political tool. There's a lot of investment in these oil fields, this oil production, a lot of money coming in from Russia, a lot of money coming from China. And I think that's what's really at heart here, trying to settle the debts, the future of that production going forward. It's going to take a lot of teamwork amongst these countries to figure out who's going to lead it and how they're going to lead it. So a lot really going in play here right now.
And in terms of oil prices, obviously this isn't going to help bring down the global oil price, although a lot of Venezuelan production has already been offline, right?
Absolutely. Not only are we seeing a large loss of oil production, crude oil production, but we're looking at a lot of refined products, gasoline, diesel, jet fuel that's really getting displaced out of the market and hard to replace. And that's going to last a lot longer than just seeing crude oil displaced right now.
So Venezuela's oil industry needs a lot of work. What needs to be done, regardless of how the politics play out?
Well, I mean, it's a very similar circumstance to what we saw in Iraq. So we're going to have to see other countries come in, show where and how they've invested money, where they're going to begin to reinvest money, and then most importantly, as we just said, it's about bringing people back. We need people who understand engineering, people who understand production, people who understand distribution, and then rebuilding all those contracts and all that money behind it. So really, a lot of complications right here.
So you're not saying this could be fixed overnight, and of course, while the U.S. is on one side, Russia and others on the other side, this could take a very long time indeed.
Sure, Nathan, here, let me give you an idea. So in Iraq, when we went in there and the oil production there was practically zero, it took them about 10 years to get back to about 3 million, 4 million barrels a day. So we're looking at something similar here to Venezuela. If they're close to zero, it's going to be at least 5 to 7 years out.
So Venezuela, plus the end of the Iran waivers from the U.S. and possible sanctions, we're not looking at oil prices going down anytime soon, are we?
We've seen oil prices stabilized, but move higher over these past few years. What we won't see is them come back down, that's for sure. You're absolutely right on that one. But we can see them creep up. But how far and how fast they creep up, it really does, it's tough to say, but we're definitely not going to see them go down quickly anytime soon.